Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, man. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual, man. You guys know the deal on this channel. So about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, stopping them from rewriting history, guys. And in this video, I want to respond, or I guess react to Two Raw's video that he did yesterday about some comments that Jeff Teague made about his 2015 Atlanta Hawks team and how he thinks that they would have beaten this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And I don't know what he's talking about. It doesn't make any sense. And I was listening to Two Raw's video, man. And, you know, like I said, I want to react to it because I think that the Atlanta Hawks of 2015, I think they're the worst 60-win team in the NBA's history, guys. And I've looked into this stuff. I think we can easily say they are the worst 60-win team in NBA's history, guys. They might be. And we're going to talk about in this video, man, because I don't know what the hell Jeff Teague's talking about. And like Two Raw said in the video, Jeff Teague probably has some of the worst takes. He's up there with guys like Gilbert Arenas, the Kendrick Perkins, the Ryan Hollins. As far as ex-basketball players that give takes, Jeff Teague's takes are pretty bad consistently, man. I mean, horrendous. And I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across the states, man, that's been supporting my channel. Shout out to all you guys on Instagram that hit me up. Shout out to everybody that emails me. All you guys out there, subscribe, like my videos, man. Like I said, it means a lot, guys. Thank you for all the comments, the super thankses, supporting the live streams, all that stuff, guys. It's truly, truly humbling, man. Like I said, it means a lot. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, like I said, I want you to react to Two Raw's video about the Jeff Teague comments on the 2015 Atlanta Hawks and them possibly being able to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. And, you know, Jeff Teague essentially just pumping up that team into a realm that no one ever considers the 2015 Atlanta Hawks. Does anyone even think about that team? No one thinks about these guys. And like I said in the intro, I think that the 2015 Atlanta Hawks are the worst 60-win team in NBA's history, guys. They were not led by a superstar-level player or even a star. Their best players were Kyle Korver, Paul Millsap, Jeff Teague, Al Horford. These are their best players. Ken Bazemore. These are their best. And I'm not knocking these guys. These are good players. Good is the key word here, guys. Good, not great, not really good, not elite, not a superstar. No one on that team is of that ilk. Not a damn person. So, once again, when we talk about the 60 wins that the Atlanta Hawks got in 2015, great for the Atlanta Hawks, man. Great season for them, man. They won 60 games. That is the only time, guys, in the Atlanta Hawks franchise history, even when they were the St. Louis Hawks, they were the Tri-State Blackhawks, or whatever they were, the Tri-City Blackhawks, whatever they were called back in the 50s. They said then they were the St. Louis Hawks when you had guys like Bob Pettit playing for them and guys like, Lenny Wilkins, right? And then they became the Atlanta Hawks, I believe, in the 69 season. They became the Atlanta Hawks. They've never won 60 games in a season, guys. That's the only season in their existence that they won 60 games. Do you guys realize the Atlanta Hawks haven't even won 50 games since that season? So it's been 10 years, right? That was 2015. It's 2025 season just ended. The Atlanta Hawks haven't even won 50 games in a season since that season, guys. That's crazy. And that shows how the Atlanta Hawks were not a great team in 2015 because they didn't win 50 games before. They didn't win 50 games after that season. So once again, it's a one-hit wonder type of scenario. It's a fluke season for the Atlanta Hawks in 2015. And they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals because that was the weakest Eastern Conference. I told you guys on record. And I did the numbers. 2005 to 2015, guys. I did that 10-year stretch. The worst Eastern Conference in NBA's history in relation to the Western Conference, guys. Completely lopsided. The Western Conference was so much more powerful than the Eastern Conference, guys. There was no one. And they got swept in the Eastern Conference Finals by the 2015 Cavaliers. And I don't even believe that Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving even played in that series. I'm not even sure. I know Kevin Love didn't play in that series. I think Kyrie Irving actually got hurt in that series. That's why he wasn't 100% for the finals. But once again, the Atlanta Hawks, who were they? They were no one. They were a 60-win team that won those 60 games because they played in the weakest Eastern Conference ever. And I'm listening to Two Raw talking in the video, and he's going over Jeff Teague comments, and Jeff Teague starts talking about some of the players that they had to beat in the playoffs that year. And he brought up the Washington Wizards with John Wall and Bradley Beal. I'm confused by that. Who was ever, like, were the John Wall Wizards ever a threat? No, and John Wall's a good player, man, no doubt. But come on, once again, John Wall ain't that level of dude. He ain't on that level. He's a good player, but he ain't all-time great, man. He ain't no legend. He ain't no superstar level player, man. And he played with Bradley Beal. And we all know what Bradley Beal's exposed himself to be. Nothing but a guy just shoots. That's all he can do. These guys were not leaders. They didn't galvanize their team. And the Wizards were never a threat. But he brings up the Wizards. Oh, we played against John Wall Wizards. He brought up the other team that they played that I'm trying to remember right now. I want to say it was the Brooklyn Nets. I think that they played that season in the first round with Joe Johnson. Once again, Joe Johnson, good player, man, good shooter. But Joe Johnson ain't an SGA level type player, man. When we talk about who the Thunder are being led by, the Thunder actually being led by an MVP. The guy actually won an MVP, SGA. They ain't no 2015 Atlanta Hawks sniffing an MVP. Al Horford? No way, man. Jeff Teague? No way. Jeff Teague is a solid point guard, man. But to me, Jeff Teague was never a starter. He was, to me, he could have been like, one of the best backup point guards, when he played. But to me, he was never a starter. But he ain't sniffing no MVP. Kent Bazemore, Paul Millsap, are these guys winning MVPs? Kyle Korver? No, man, not even close. So when we think about it, just off that alone, the Oklahoma City Thunder have a much greater player on their team. So if we just say who would be the best player on the court, it would be SGA, hands down. But when we talk about the other guys around SGA, and we talk about the overall team on the Thunder, they have been, like I said, drafting these guys, building this team over the last several seasons. And now what you're seeing is a team that's been playing together for a couple of years now. They built up some cohesion, some chemistry. They brought in some guys on the side like an Alex Caruso. And like I said, you have these other guys, and then you have a star player like an SGA. All of a sudden, your team becomes formidable, not to mention the defense that these guys are playing. The Atlanta Hawks, they didn't play defense like that. Paul Millsap was a solid defensive player. Kyle Korver wasn't a defender. Jeff Teague, no. Ken Bazemore was okay, gave effort on defense, but he was never a defender like that, right? When you talk about some of the guys that the Thunder have and what they've been able to do and what they've shown to do, guys like Lou Dort and the Jalen Williams, SGA himself, hustles on both sides of the ball. So when we're talking about these guys, Chet Holmgren, like they have Alex Caruso. These guys play defense. They give effort, right? So to me, Jeff Teague is talking crazy. Now, in the video, Too Raw was talking about, like I said, some of the things that Jeff Teague said didn't make sense. And he basically, he broke it down like Too Raw always does. But I went into the record books and I started to look into some of the 60-win teams in NBA history. Now, I didn't pull all the 60-win teams because that takes forever. But I went from 1968, when the NBA first instituted 82-game schedule, and I went all the way to 1998, or I guess, 2000 if you want to say, but I went all the way to like 1998, because remember, 1999 was a lockout-shortened season. I went all the way to 1998, just all the 60-win teams. There have been a lot of 60-win teams, guys, a good amount of 60-win teams. But the main difference, guys, with those 60-win teams and the Atlanta Hawks of 2015 and their 60 wins is who was leading these teams to those victories, to those records. This is what I'm talking about. This is what separates these teams from an Atlanta Hawks team that I told you, to me, a one-hit wonder team. They were a fluke. You guys know the 80s had a lot of one-hit wonder songs, right? That's the way the Atlanta Hawks were. They were a one-hit wonder. It was a fluke season. Like I told you, they haven't won 50 games since that season. They didn't win 50 games the next year. They didn't win 50 games the season before. All of a sudden, they get 60 wins because the East was really weak. It was one of those fluke seasons for the Atlanta Hawks. I believe they had 4 All-Stars that year, which is hilarious to me. The Atlanta Hawks had 4 All-Stars on their team. But the three-peat Chicago Bulls, the second three-peat Chicago Bulls, never had 3 or 4 All-Stars on their team. It's insane. Dennis Rodman never made an All-Star team when that second three-peat Bulls, which is why I laugh when they say that Dennis Rodman, was doing all this crazy stuff. But never made an All-Star team. Tony Kukoc, none of these guys were All-Stars. It was Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. That was it. But the Atlanta Hawks had 4 All-Stars. 4 All-Stars. I mean, it's almost like, what year was that? The LA Lakers in 1998, I believe it was. Was it 98? They had 4 All-Stars. It was Shaq, Kobe, Eddie Jones, and Nick Van Exel, I believe, if I'm correct. 4 All-Stars. So it's really rare that you get 4 All-Stars on a team. Even like the Detroit Pistons, I believe, in the 80s, early 90s, I don't think they had 4 All-Stars. I think they maybe had 3, maybe Dennis Rodman, Joe Dumars, and Isaiah Thomas at one time. The Boston Celtics, I don't believe they had 4 All-Stars at one time on the team. I could be off on this, but I know Larry Bird, McHale, maybe Parrish at once. Then maybe later on, like Reggie Lewis. But I don't even know, like, if they ever had 4 All-Stars. Like, I don't know if Dennis Johnson ever made an All-Star on the Celtics. I don't believe he did. Bill Walton was never an All-Star on the Celtics. So, you know, when you think about the 4 All-Stars, that's a lot, man. Kyle Korver, Paul Millsap, Al Horford, and I believe Jeff Teague. They were the All-Stars, which is hilarious to me. Once again, that's how weak the East was. Guys, those guys made All-Stars. Insane. But anyway, I went back to 1968, and the first team to win 60 games, like I said, when they went to the 82-game schedule, was the 1968 76ers, obviously led by Will Chamberlain. So once again, you see that they won 62 games. It was 62-20 that season. They were the #1 defensive team. They had a plus rating of differential of plus 6.9. But Will Chamberlain was the leader of the team, right? He was the superstar level player, the all-time great, leading that team. Ain't no one on the Atlanta Hawks in 2015 on the level of Will Chamberlain, man. No one even close to that. So, once again, this proves and highlights that the 2015 Atlanta Hawks might be the weakest 60-win team in the history of the NBA, guys. Though Jeff Teague is actually exposing his team and himself. You see, when you make comments like this, you force us to do what? You force us to go do the homework, to go do the research, to look into these things, right? The same thing that we did with Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen came out talking all this mess. So what did it force? It forced a lot of people to actually look into the details of Scottie Pippen's career. And then when you look into the details, you find that the dude's rewriting history and bending reality. That's when he got exposed. That's why we said Scottie Pippen is shameful what this man is doing. Just talking reckless. Right now, you're keeping the facts of facts. So that's what happened here with Jeff Teague. You start looking into this stuff. You expose your team, Jeff Teague. Just shut your mouth, man, and be happy you played on a team. Be happy you made an all-star team, and you played for a team that won 60 games, man. Like I said, the only team in the Hawks history to win 60 games, man. Hold on to that feeling because all you guys got. You got nothing else. You guys did nothing before that. You did nothing after that. Literally nothing, guys. Never even won 50 games since then. And remember, the all-time great teams, the teams that we consider the greatest teams of all time, are consistently great. They're consistently competitive, and they're led by all-time greats. All-time greats, not some second-rate players, some, fringe all-star guys. No fluke players. They're led by great players, Hall of Famers, the top of the top guys. You're the 1970 Knicks, right? They won 60 games. 60-22, right? They were the end-up champions. #1 defense, led by Walt Frazier and Willis Reed. So once again, not to mention Dave the Butcher or Bill Bradley, but the 1970 Knicks were a great team. Like I said, led by all-time greats, Willis Reed and Walt Frazier, man. Just a great, great, great team. And they were actually led by a really great all-time great coach, Red Holzman. I believe the 2015 Hawks were led by Mike Budenholzer, who's a good coach, no doubt about it, man. But he ain't on the level of some of these other guys, all-time great coach. Is he? Mike Budenholzer? Not. He's a good coach, man, but not on that level. We got the 1971 Milwaukee Bucks, went 66-16. They were the champs. Obviously, they were led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They had a #1 defense. They had a plus differential, plus minus of plus 10.8, man. But once again, led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1971, Oscar Robertson, 2 all-time great players. Had guys like what's the guy's name? Bob Dandridge, I believe, on that team. But yeah, guys, anyway, you're led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who people argue is the greatest player of all time. He's been in those debates for a long time. Ain't no one on that 2015 Hawks team ever gonna be in that debate, man. So once again, a great team led by a great all-time great player, and they were consistent. The Bucks. In 1972, the next season, the Bucks won 63-19. #1 defense again. Had a plus-minus differential, plus 10 again, led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Right? You had the 1972 Lakers, went 69-13, obviously led by Will Chamberlain and Jerry West. You had the 73 Lakers, the 73 Celtics, 68-14. They're led by John Havlicek and Dave Cowens. Once again, John Havlicek, one of the great, great players. Dave Cowens, an MVP winner. No one on the 2015 Hawks is coming close to John Havlicek or Dave Cowens as far as what they accomplished in their careers. So you had that team, the 73 Bucks, once again, 60-22, led by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The 73 Lakers, led by Will Chamberlain and Jerry West, 60-22. You see it? You see what the pattern is developing here, guys? The 75 Celtics, 60-22, led by Cowens, Havlicek, Joe White. These are all Hall of Fame players, all-time great legends. The 75 Bullets, 60 and 22, led by Elvin Hayes and Wes Unseld. Once again, all-time great legends. These are not also Rands or some, fringe star players. These are all-time great players. You got the 1980 Celtics, 61 and 21. Larry Bird's first year, obviously led by Larry Bird and Tiny Archibald. You got the 1980 Lakers, obviously led by Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You have the 1981 76ers, 62 and 20, led by Dr. J, Bobby Jones, Darryl Dawkins. I mean, just had a really good team. I believe Doug Collins might have been on that team if I remember correctly. But you're led by Dr. J, an all-time great legend, right? The 81 Sixers, the 81 Celtics. Once again, another team led by Larry Bird. You see the pattern here, guys? These teams are led by great, great players, right? The 81 Bucks, 60 and 22, led by Marcus Johnson, who I talked about the other day as the first point forward in the NBA, and Sidney Moncrief. And I'm telling you, Marcus Johnson would be a Hall of Famer if he did not have the injuries that cut his career short. And we all know Sidney Moncrief, one of the great lockdown defenders, one of the great two-way players of his era, of the 80s, right? 60 and 22. The 82 Celtics, 63 and 19, obviously led by Larry Bird, Robert Parrish. You got the 83 Sixers, led by Dr. J, Moses Malone. They went 65 and 17. The 84 Celtics, led by Bird, McHale, and Parrish, right? The 85 Celtics, 63 and 19. The 85 Lakers, 62 and 20. Magic and Kareem. The 86 Celtics, 67 and 15. Bird, Parrish, McHale. The 86 Lakers, 62 and 20. Magic and Kareem. The 87 Lakers, right, 65 and 17. The 88 Lakers, 62 and 20. The 89 Pistons, 63 and 19, led by Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. You see this, guys? You see how many times the Celtics and the Lakers won 60-plus games? Led by great players who were winners, who were competitors. And remember, the 80s, especially in the Eastern Conference, was very competitive, man. You had really good teams. The Celtics, the Bucks, the Hawks, the Detroit Pistons, right? You had a young up-and-comers Bulls team. You had the 76ers, right? A very stacked conference. In the West, you had the Lakers. You had teams like the Phoenix Suns, led by guys like Tom Chambers and Larry Nance, right? You had some of the teams like the Sixers, the Sonics. You had teams like the Denver Nuggets with Alex English. Like, you had teams, right? And then eventually you'd have teams like the Houston Rockets with Ralph Sampson, Hakeem Olajuwon, right? You had some quality teams in the NBA. So it was a much more competitive league. And guys are being led by all-time great players, and they're winning games, right? The 1990 Lakers, 60. A lot of people don't remember that. And I've done a video on this. The Lakers won 63 games, guys. In 1990, the Lakers were 63 and 19, and that was the year that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar retired. So that was their first year without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They still won 63 games, guys. So think about that. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar retired, and they won 63 games without him. And the funny thing about that is, a lot of times you'll hear the LeBron James fans talk about Michael Jordan, right? And how many games the Bulls won the next year when he retired. Oh, the Bulls won this amount of games, and they made the playoffs the next year. They won't talk about how many games the Lakers won when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar retired. They never want to bring that up, though, right? The Lakers won 63 games when he retired. They won more games the year after he retired, which is, like I said, hilarious to me when you talk about how great the Lakers were in 1990. But that was the facts, guys. The 1991 Bulls, 61 and 21, led by Jordan and Pippen, right? The 91 Portland Trailblazers, 63 and 19, right? A lot of people forget the 91 Portland Trailblazers, 63 and 19, guys. They were one of the top teams in the league that year, right? Number 3 defense. I think they had the best plus minus, or maybe the second best plus minus behind the Chicago Bulls, led by Clyde Drexler, Terry Porter, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams, some of the guys on that team, Kevin Duckworth. And that 91 Portland team was beat by the Lakers in 91 in the West Conference Finals. So when people say, oh, Magic was the AIDS and he was old, the Lakers weren't that great, they beat a 63-win team in the Western Conference Finals that year, the number 1 Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals. And remember, like I said, the year before, they won 63 games without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The Lakers were great because they were led by Magic Johnson, guys. That's why they weren't being led by Jeff Teague or Al Horford. We think about the 1992 Chicago Bulls, 6, 7, and 15, right? Obviously led by Michael Jordan. They had a plus 11 differential. The 93 Knicks, 60 and 22, led by Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, John Starks, right? Coached by Pat Riley. The 93 Suns, 60 and 20, led by Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, right? All these guys that were on that team, they're very deep. The 94 Sonics, led by Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, I believe they were 61 and 21. The 95 Spurs, 62 and 20, led by David Robinson, Sean Elliott. Dennis Rodman was on that team, The 95 Jazz, Karl Malone, John Stockton was 60 and 22. The 96 Orlando Magic with Shaq and Penny, right? I believe they were, 60 and 22, I believe, that season. The 96 Bulls, 72 and 10, led by Jordan and Pippen, right? And Dennis Rodman, Ron Harper. We get all these other guys, right? 96 Sonics, Peyton and Kemp, 64 and 18. The 97 Heat, 61 and 21. Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway. Do you guys think that the Atlanta Hawks of 2015 are beating any of those teams that just read off? And once again, these teams are going to have the best player on the court. Hell, a lot of these teams are going to have the best 2 or 3 players on the court. You think if you're playing the Chicago Bulls that it's going to be Michael Jordan and Al Horford's better than Scottie Pippen, or Al Horford or Jeff Teague's better than Scottie Pippen, or Kyle Korver's greater than Scottie Pippen, or if you're playing the second three-peat Bulls, like I said, it's going to be Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman as probably the best 3 players. And then we can start debating guys like Ron Harper with Kyle Korver, or Jeff Teague, or Al Horford and stuff like that. It's crazy when you think about that. That's how weak these guys are. If they played against the New York Knicks, Patrick Ewing's going to easily be the best player on that court. And then we could debate guys like Charles Oakley and the John Starks and the Anthony Masons, right? And some of the other players that played for the New York Knicks in the 90s. The Charles Barkley sons. Charles Barkley's easy, hands down, going to be the best player on that court. And then we could debate Kevin Johnson is going to be the second best player on the court. And then we could start debating the other guys like Dan Marley and Tom Chambers. Some of the guys that were on that team during that season, man. Danny Ainge and where they fit in. Like I said, the Sonics in 1996 with Peyton, Kemp, Nate McMillan, Detlef Schrempf. I mean, Hersey Hawkins. Peyton and Kemp are going to be the best 2 players on the court easily. So as you guys can see here, man, I mean, the Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, Miami Heat, they're going to be the best 2 players on the court. Jeff Teague can't shine Tim Hardaway's shoes. And who's guarding Alonzo Mourning? Al Horford? Come on, man. Once again, it's not the same. And like I said, a lot of these teams, as you guys can see, a lot of teams in the 90s won 60 games. I've done this. I think 25 teams won 60 games in the 90s, guys. And these teams are all going against each other, beating up on each other, competing against each other, right? And they were battle testing each other. So I went down that list there. You know, then we have like the 98 Jazz, 64 and 18. Like I said, the 97 Bulls, 69 and 13. The 98 Bulls, 62 and 20. The 98 Jazz, 62 and 20. The 98 Lakers, 61 and 21. The 2000 Lakers, 67 and 15. I mean, I stopped at 2000, but because you're getting the point that I'm making here, guys. I know this video's going super long here. So like I said, in my reaction to 2 Raw's video on Jeff Teague's comments about the 2015 Hawks and how, you know, they would have destroyed the Oklahoma City Thunder, I think he might have even said they would have swept them. That's insane for him to say. Like I said, Jeff Teague's not living in reality. What would make Jeff Teague think that his team is so great? Because you guys played against the Brooklyn Nets in the first round and you beat them? Or because you guys beat the Washington Wizards with John Wall in the second round? I'm not impressed. Like I said, to me, that Atlanta Hawks team is not even the best Atlanta Hawks team of all time on the Hawks. Nowhere near it. Bob Pettit's Hawks were better, right? With Lenny Wilkins, the Lenny Wilkins Hawks were better. The Dominic Wilkins, to me, Hawks were better. With guys like Kevin Willis and Spud Webb, Doc Rivers. To me, that Hawks team was better. They didn't win 60 games. They won 57 games. And to me, the late 80s Hawks, they may have been the best Hawks since. Like I said, the late 80s Hawks and even some of the mid to late 90s Hawks teams were really good when you had Dikembe Mutombo, Mookie Blaylock, Steve Smith. I think Christian Laettner may have been on those teams. The Hawks played the Bulls, I believe, in 97 in the second round, if I remember correctly. I could be off on that, but one of those, I know they played the Hawks in the second round. They were a very good team. But in the late 80s, like it was like 85, like 86, 87, 88, I believe. Like 4 or 5 seasons in a row, the Hawks won 50 games. 50-plus games. That I believe, if I remember correct, that's their best stretch in their history. All right? So the Hawks were really good. Like I said, in the late 80s, the reason why they didn't win is because they were getting beat by teams like the Sixers, getting teams by the Boston Celtics, teams like the Detroit Pistons. You're going against some of these all-time great teams. But Dominic Wilkins would have been the best player on the court in a series between the 86 Hawks, or the 87 Hawks, let's say, and the 2015 Hawks. So Jeff Teague has been exposed heavily here. The 2015 Hawks, in my opinion, in my estimation, from what I've seen, they're probably the worst 60-win team in NBA's history, guys. Like I said, they're just a fluke season. One of those one-hit wonders that you scratch your head and like, how did these guys win 60 games that year? How did they win? Because the Eastern Conference was crap. That's how they won 60 games, man. Once again, I'm not impressed. Jeff Teague don't know what he's talking about. Jeff Teague needs to just stop talking on the podcast, dude. Doesn't make any sense. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.